Hi everyone, my name is Demitrius Pennebaker, a level design student at the Guildhall at SMU in Cohort 16. This is my UDK Matinee Advanced Tutorial Part 2, creating a flying particle effect. This series was created by Cohort 16's Matinee team, which consists of level designers Devon, Singh, Jeffery, Bickel, and myself. The previous video in the series was my UDK Matinee Advanced Tutorial Part 1, in which I showed you how to create a survival horror style camera. And so let's go ahead and get started on the flying particle effect for this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the visibility on this trigger. Make sure that hidden is checked so it won't be visible in game. But now we won't know where this trigger is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the content browser, and I'm going to find a suitable particle system. And what I've selected, I've pre-selected, is the shock rifle ball. So once that's selected, right-click and add emitter, WP shock rifle ball. And what I'm going to do is, well, there are a few things I need to do to this particle system before I'm ready to use it. First I'm going to go into the properties of the particle system, and I'm going to go movement, physics, and change this to phys interpolating. And what this does is allows us to actually animate this particle effect using Matinee. I'm also going to go to display, pre-pivot, and I'm going to change the pivot along the x-axis to -96. As you can see, that moved the particle system but left the pivot in place, which is what we want. And what that does is when we later on animate this, we're going to just rotate it, and it'll rotate around the pivot and appear to orbit along a path rather than what we're going to actually do, which is simply just rotating, making a rotating animation. So that should do it for that. The next thing I'll do actually is Alt drag and create another one. I'm going to move that off screen, or excuse me, I'm going to move it out of the room for use later. Oops. Got too many. There we go. And we have that particle system there where the trigger is, so now when we're testing our levels, we can see where the trigger is set. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a point light. However, I need one that I can animate, so I'm going to go into Content Browser, Actor Classes, and to Lights, Point Light Movable. I'm going to add one of those. Close this out. And we're going to place that in the exact same position as the trigger and the particle system. There we go. Now in the properties for this light, I'm going to change its brightness to, let's give it a 0.5. And I'm also going to make sure that, just to double check, that under movement this says phys interpolating as well, just to make sure that we can animate that point light. And what I'm going to do is also create a second copy of that. I'm going to place that near my other particle system. And the next thing I'm going to do is, well, I guess I'll move these out of the way so I can see a little bit better. What I'm going to do is select the first particle system here, go into the properties, and I'm going to go Attachment. I'm going to lock this window, select my light, and then hit the green arrow here to attach the light to my particle system. I'm also going to do that. I'm going to uncheck this, unlock this, and then I'm going to go and do the same thing for my other particle system and light here, so that the light is attached to the particle system. So once again, that's F4 to open the properties, and the base, and we're going to hit the lock button here, select the light, and under base, click the green arrow to attach the light to particle emitter. And the next thing we want to do again is make sure that these are in the same place. I'm also noticing right now that my pivot is not updated for this. Oh no, I guess it is. It just doesn't appear to be so. So we're good there. And we're going to move these back so that they will all be in the same position. There you have it. And one more. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is get back into Kismet, and I'm going to create a new player variable named player 0. Actually, I've got one. I guess not. Let's go ahead and create a new one. New variable player. I named the last one. We're going to uncheck all players here. I named the last one P_0, but let's call this one P0, just so that we don't have two names the same. Make sure that doesn't cause us any problems later down the line. Now I'm going to select either particle system, so let's go with the one that's in the room, the visible one, and I'm going to create a new object variable for that, and I'm going to name that one particle system 1 PS1, and I'm going to make another one for the other particle system, and I'm going to call that particle system 2 PS2. Now I'm going to create a new remote event trigger, and I'm going to call it trigger, so that was event and remote event, and let's name this trigger. Looks like that's working properly. And I'm going to create an attached to actor sequence, that is new action, actor, attached to actor, and I'm going to connect the out here to the in on attached to actor. Now in my attached to actor sequences properties, I want to make sure that part attach is selected, and also use relative offset. Now I'm going to create, now I'm going to take my, now I'm going to create a new variable, named variable, and I'm going to call this P0. That will be the target. And then I will take the first particle emitter system, PS1. I'm going to create a new variable for that as well. Name variable, that is. And we're going to rename this PS1. Oop. There we go. And I'm going to attach there. So now our first particle system should be attached to the player, and the light should be attached to that particle system. However, we'll just kind of move around with the player as we run around there, which isn't exactly what we want. Okay, so to create my new matinee sequence, go right click, new matinee. I'll just go ahead and connect this to play right now. And I'm also going to make sure that I've got my first particle system there we go. So I've got my first particle system selected when I open up Matinee. And I'm going to right click, add new empty group. And I'm going to call U rotation. And you notice that emitter 1 is already added to that track. It's going to do a new movement track. You'll notice that they've already added the first keyframe for me. Now what I'm going to do is actually use my this view here, the top left orthographic view, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to adjust the keyframe at, let's say, half a second. So in order to do that, what I want to do is get in my rotation mode, and I'm going to rotate this along the z-axis. The way that's done is just drag this and pull, and so I'll go to 180 degrees to start, and then set a key by pressing enter. You can also click this button here. I'm going to move it to 1 minute. I'm going to rotate it in the same direction, another 180 degrees, and add a key. And the intention there is to give it a full revolution around the center. And if you look in the preview window, that seems to be working just fine. However, my animation is a little bit long, so I'm going to cut this down and move it to 1 second so that when it loops, it should loop relatively seamlessly. And I think that should do just fine. So in order to make it loop also, we want to make sure that looping is selected here. Otherwise, we should be good, and this should rotate around the player. So let's play it and test it out. And it looks like that works. It's not a bad start. Let's go ahead and escape out of here. And on to the next. Okay, so to clean this up, I'm going to do a few little things. First, I will select my particle systems and give them a bit of a rotational offset. One clockwise in the top left view and one counterclockwise in the top left view. And also going to just make sure that's in the exact same spot so we can always see it above ground when so we can find our trigger there. So let's just make sure that this guy is truly attached to my particle system. Attachment, point light removal, and yes, it does look like that's attached. Okay, good. Let's go back into Kismet. As you recall, we've only animated the one light, so let's go ahead and animate, or the one particle emitter, so let's go ahead and animate the second one. We're going to copy and paste that. And the next thing I'll do is replace all references here to the first emitter to the with references to my second emitter. So I can just simply change the name here from PS1 to PS2. And also delete this and copy paste here. And attach that to the rotation group here. And then the last thing I'll do is get rid of that and move it to reverse so that the other animation plays in reverse. And that should just about do it. So let's give it a little test and see how it goes. Alright, so take a look around, and there we have it. It's not so bad. This will follow me pretty much anywhere I go. If you have a particle emitter that shoots off multiple particles, it will actually leave a nice trail effect, and that's not so bad either. So there you have it, and I hope you can put this technique to good use. Take care, have a nice day.